Hey guys, Jordan here with FarmBuilder, and what we're going to show you today is what we have done this winter to address some of the issues we've had with cold weather farrowing. And we just came through the polar vortex and we farrowed right through it. So we'll show you what we've been doing and we'll get right to it. As you may know, if you've watched other videos I've done, we have developed a portable shelter that we use for our farrowing that has worked out well for several seasons. Now what you're probably seeing here is some new hardware, and we had some problems that we needed to address. Whenever you're developing a system and working out the kinks, you always tackle your next biggest problem. Getting portable cheap shelter was our first problem. Our second problem became apparent, especially during cold weather, was sows wanting to crowd together in a shelter. Like you can see those two in there. Get 2 to 3 in there at a time, which is fine when they are not farrowing. If they're just hanging out together, that's fine, but when they're giving birth, that was leading to a lot of issues with crushing. We've also had a little bit of issues with cannibalism this year, and we've tried to address that with feed, but we had gotten to the point where we no longer could afford the losses that we were incurring from sows cannibalizing each other's litters. And so to address both those things, we busted out the checkbook, spent the big bucks, and invested in a pen system. Now these are pretty heavy duty bull panels. They're actually for cows, but we're using them for sows. That way down the road, should we have something else, we can repurpose these for other things on the farm. So kind of incorporating an element of multi-purpose here. And we are right in the middle of this polar vortex everyone's freaking out about. We had some, pretty cold days. Like right now it's probably 15 degrees. Last night it got down to 0, and we had a sow farrowing during that weather. And she did fine. So this combination of as they begin to farrow, hopefully they will make a nest in here. If not, we see her exhibiting nesting behavior. We'll put her in a pen and make her stay in. So we've been feeding them in here every feeding to get them used to that. And then most of them have built a nest in here. Some of them have not, and we had to put them in. And one like this girl here, she actually farrowed out in a straw bale, and then we just moved her up the next morning. But having this ability to cordon them off from each other has helped a noticeable amount with their stress, that she can come out and eat whenever she wants, get a drink whenever she wants without having this pressure of other sows. The cannibalism problem is 100% gone, so we're real happy with that. And then, just having all of our piggies under shelter, not out in the trees or, somewhere where a foolish sow might want to farrow. Been pretty happy with the investment. So here's one of the sows. She's got a nice litter in there. Still some minor issues with crushing, but not near as bad as we were having before when multiple sows would try to pile into the same shelter. So we want the pigs to be comfortable, but we also want our piggies to live. So mama needs to be camping out by herself when she's got these newborns. And you can see her, she's pawing all this bedding up close to the shelter and filling it up, which is fine. That's giving a lot of insulation. So just a couple other things we'll point out real fast. We're orienting these shelters so that the sunlight is going in during the day. If you can hit the ideal of having sunlight going into your pens or into the shelters and wind to the back, that's real helpful. Got another one right here. She's got some piggies with her. She's happy. Got one acting a little bit nesty down here, so we'll be keeping an eye on her as the day goes on. What's going on, big girls? She's just kind of camping out here, so possibly some early labor. And if she does, we'll just close her in. And then we've got one more down here. So this is the pen system, interconnecting bull panels. These little gates, 3 foot 30 inch, I think they're 30-inch gates. And we just push the panels in between 2 shelters. Took about 5 hours to set this up for this group. And then we can break it down and move it over to the next group as they're ready to farrow. I think our plan right now is we will keep the sow locked in with her piggies for about 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, and then we'll just let her out. We'll see how it goes. And so far, so good. It's solved that next biggest problem that we had, and now we can hopefully move on with our lives. But few key takeaways. One, when I was thinking about this, always address what your biggest problem, your next biggest problem is in any system. So if it's just getting shelters, that's your biggest problem. Your next biggest problem, identify it and address it. Doesn't take too long for experiencing piglet losses to justify some new equipment, especially if it's something that's multi-purpose, can be retasked elsewhere on the farm down the road. Say we were to build a big hoop house or a farrowing barn or something later. We haven't wasted our money on these things. I'll show you the piggies here. It's lunchtime. That's a nice litter right there. So that's what's been going on around our farm. Got down to 0 last night. Had one farrow in that weather. She did fine. 7 good ones, 1 stillborn. So I'm happy. That's probably the coldest farrowing that we've ever done. But it goes to show, I think, with the right setup, genetics that are acclimated for your local conditions, and then just attentiveness for yourself as the manager, you can be farrowing in some fairly cold weather. Obviously, this is nothing like those of you in the real north have been getting with like 50 below. That's a different ball game. But for here in Virginia, 0-degree weather, we have solved our next biggest problem with our farrowing enterprise, and we will keep rolling on. We've got 96 sows right now. We might be adding another 50 to 60 this year, so I guess we're getting into the big time with it. But we'll see. And until next time, y'all stay frosty out there, and on your farm, get after it.